Alright guys, Supreme Kami here, and today I am going to be covering what are going to be some good parts to upgrade for your 6-time rate growth hanger. So this actually this started today, so if you guys are wondering what kind of parts to be upgrading, I do have a list for you guys. So obviously those are going to be some Soka parts, so you may or may not have them. So if you don't have them, those are definitely going to be some parts that you guys hopefully were able to pull them, let's say via the premium capsule tickets. But if not, those are definitely going to be some wishlist parts that hopefully you guys may get eventually. So in terms of this iteration, I am planning to do 2 separate videos just because I feel like this is going to be a prime opportunity to be upgrading some of your limited part, those EXQ cooldown reduction type parts, just because like if you talk about regularly, if you don't have any of these 6-time rate, it's gonna be really bad to just upgrade them just because the fact that they take so long. So but this time around we do have something of this caliber, and then with if any of you guys out there are trying to buy the course hanger, then you guys can definitely speed up the process. So let's actually get into it and see what kind of part are good for this iteration. Alright, so we are over at the alteration page, and then I kind of feel bad because like these are usually the part that I say don't go for them, and go for like the welfare and then let's say those standard part because they're quote unquote easy to upgrade. But this time around, since we do have the 6th-rate growth hanger, so I feel like this is definitely a good opportunity to just kind of let you guys know what are some good option, right, that you guys can potentially cup up in the hanger, and then you guys can be I just feel like in terms of cooldown reduction type build, not that they're like meta, but I think it's a pretty fun way to be playing around your EXQ and just continuously execute them if you're like seeing it for say. So I feel like if you guys want to do a little bit of a mixture, you want your 100% cooldown reduction, and then you also want to do a little bit more damage. Maybe you want to use it for arena, maybe you just want to use it for any content. Yeah, that's why I do want to do this one first, and then after that I am going to be doing a power, those portraits that are power build type, and then we'll go from there. So let's actually take a look from the head part first, and then we actually do have everything from head part and then all the way down to the range weapon. Unfortunately at this point in time we don't have anything right now for the shield category, so that is something we might potentially see in the near future. So in terms of the head part, we actually do have something that is brand new that dropped for today. So if you guys were fortunate enough to, let's say, get the SHB Infinite Justice head right here, this is definitely something that you can upgrade. In terms of the stat, we're not going to talk too much about that. Mainly we're focusing on the actual portrait itself. So this one honestly is not that bad because this one is a you know what, I'll actually say it's bad because this one is a type specific speed attribute, and then in terms of, let's say, the second condition, does lock you down to a rifle category. So you can kind of call this one like a very niche option. But honestly speaking, I think most of this limited parts like EXQ cooldown parts, like they tend to tie down to like a specific typing for whatever reason. I think it's like a very slim chance you see something that's very universal. I don't know if I spot any of that, but we'll definitely go through the list and see what is good. So this one, if you want to pack everything into one singular part, this one definitely does it for you. Not only are you getting an EXQ cooldown on this one, you're also getting an initial charge boost as well. So you can kind of one stone two bird. This is one and done. So this is definitely a part that you can be looking into, and then call it a day for say. As attribute, and then warfare wise, high mobility, and then high firepower. So obviously this is designed more or less for like a melee type build, but since the portrait itself is not really specific only to the attribute, so you can technically run this into your shooting base build as well, because like if you do take a look at the overall shot attack, it is actually quite hot as well. So I would definitely throw this onto my shot build and then call it a day if I needed to. So this option definitely not bad at all. Alright, up next we do have ourselves the Crossbone X1 full club here. So this one is going to be pretty much the same situation, but I will say this one is probably, in terms of the 3 that I'm going to be recommending, we have one more after this. This is probably going to be a bottom bucket of the list just because this one is tying down to melee specifically. for that second condition. So why not just pick something that's a little bit more universal? So instead of like using this one specifically for melee, why don't I pick something that I can use for both builds? So I think that is probably the most important factor that we also want to be looking at. Is this something that you can use in both builds? If so, definitely pick that one over something else. And if you guys do have it, that's great. If you guys don't, these are definitely some parts that you want to be focusing on. So next time when we do have these this 6-time rate growth hanger, definitely do upgrade those parts if you guys did pick them somehow, right? So this one is just very niche option, and stat wise, obviously not too terrible for like a dual type, but first portrait kind of nails it down to like, oh, this one is quote unquote for melee specifically. So I would not recommend this one. If you guys do have it, I'll definitely recommend something else that probably can be a little bit of a better option. Okay, so I think this is probably the one that I'll recommend. We have ourselves the Kasashi here. So in terms of the word tag for this one, obviously you do have ace exclusive and then high firepower, which I think is not a bad combo. So you can easily start this onto like a shooting base build or even like melee base build, no problem. One word tag is pretty much universal, so that's good. In terms of the condition for this one is unfortunately going to be tied down to speed attribute. So for speed attribute, they're getting a lot of support just from different areas, so that's kind of good to see. But in terms of, let's say, your P attribute and then T attribute, I don't think we have yet to got something for the head part yet. So S attribute right now is definitely taking a lead. So in terms of this one is actually a very competent one, just because you do have an EX skill power boosting. So I think that is pretty much enough set for this one. And then the thing you guys are probably seeing right now, like all these have 23% max out. So the reason why I'm picking these one over here, because in terms of getting up to like the portrait level here, so you guys can see this one is completely maxed out, right? So traditionally we see something like, from, let's say, welfare standard unit, they typically do max out at 20%. So instead of like, when we look at these one over here, you don't even need to max them out at fully level 10. What you can actually do, you can stop at portrait level 8, and then I believe that actually does get you exactly at 20. It's either 19% or 20%. So in that case, you guys can definitely save a lot of experience points. So so after you hit that portrait level 8, you can immediately switch over to like a different part that you want to upgrade. So for one, you can definitely save some room for other part, and two, these are just pretty much easier to upgrade than your traditional like base off 20%. So if we talk about this one only at 20%, you'll definitely need to max it out to completely maximize that 100% cooldown build. But honestly, if you just kind of have these ones at portrait level 8, you guys should be pretty much solid and good to go. So that's a little bit of a caveat I want to throw in there as well. Okay, so starting off with the torso section, so we have ourselves yet again the Infinite Justice. This one is being released and having exactly what we needed. So we have something, this one is actually a very good prime example of being a very top tier meta part now, because in terms of these one over here, you see enemy EXQ damage plus 40%. So these are going to be the new meta kind of portrait over here. So probably in the next upcoming video, I'm probably going to be doing a demonstration comparing these portrait via our traditional. Let me see if I can pull up something here. So I'm gonna compare that to some of our traditional, EXQ power boosted by an X amount percentage, because these actually, in terms of the actual calculation, are a little bit different. I don't know the full extent to the actual mapping of it, so unfortunately I can't really cover you guys in terms of the actual detail. But in terms of the overall testing, I think it will actually give you guys a pretty good insight about how much of a difference we're talking about. So if you guys are asking me how's the mapping portion of it, I'll definitely refer you guys over to the GNL Discord server, because we have people over there, busting them like their minds out here, like trying to see how does it work. So I'm gonna leave a link in the description below, and there you guys can definitely check them out, because like we got some pretty smart people out there working to see how this portrait actually works. So props to them for sure. So this one definitely really good. I would definitely say this one is gonna be another dual type build, no problem, just because this one is locking into EXQ boosting. So this one is good, no complaints to that. I would definitely say the shot department a little bit shy, just a little bit too low, but portrait wise definitely makes up for it, so no complaint. 23%, so pretty good. All right, so up next, we have something that's a little bit more universal once again. So this is pretty much the same thing that we are looking at again. So while high firepower active, EXQ cooldown reduced by 23%. So this one is another one of those good example where this one does work in a pretty good those type of situation. So if you guys are investing into this one, I don't think you guys need to worry about anything about like, oh, can I use this in my shop build or can I use this on my melee build only? This one definitely gonna work towards both build, no problem. Word tags wise, kind of keep that in mind. This one does have an alternative attribute, so I believe the other one may or may not have, you know, let's say close combat or some other melee centric tag. So if you guys get this one to 7-star, and then you guys, and the most important part, and if you have the other versions part in your possession, then you can kind of get the other word test. So this one overall is pretty good as well. Crossbone Gundam X1 Full Cloud once again. So honestly speaking, I feel like this is probably the best one to be upgrading, just because what we are looking at right now is a dual EXQ cooldown up to 20%. So in one singular part, you can get yourself up to 40%. But this one, in contrast to the other one, you do need to max it out, because this one will only cap you out at what? If you only do it to partial level 8 for say, it will probably be only at 17%. So this is probably going to be one of those that you want to like really spend the entire time maxing it out, because 40% is not bad, you know. This pretty much cuts down to like some of your other, you know, category, like your slot department. They don't need to max out anymore, or they can do other portrait or have other portrait going on. So this one, in my opinion, probably like the best one to upgrade up the set. So the one that we are looking at so far, I put this one way above all of them. So if you guys do happen to have this one for say, this one definitely really good. Once again, this one is only going to be your speed attribute, so that is going to be another caveat. And then high firepower, which is pretty much universal at this point in time, so not really much to worry about. But yeah, this one is the best of the best in my opinion. Alright, so up next, we do have something a little bit more of a niche area where it's specifically melee. We have the Gundam Ashma Origin Torso. This one like outright speaks itself like being a melee centric. Once you be using close combat and then melee power. So this one probably not good to go, just because from the option that we look at, there's so many different ones that are, you know, universal. So yeah, this one I would definitely not recommend you guys going for this one. All right, so I do want to throw a little bit of a mixed bag in there as well. So we have something of this caliber. So this one is going to be the Gundam Barbados Lupus. So this is going to be the newer version 7-star. This one has something called the squad cooldown down by 19% or minus 19%. So this one pretty much works the same thing as your generic one, but this one is actually a squad boosting one. So if you want to throw this on your squad, so let's say your actual main build does not have 100%, so in composition with this one, like your ally having this one, you can immediately jump up to, let's say, up to 90% if you have it max. So these one are a very good sneaky way just to have all your ally trying to get, you know, up to 100%, which is actually good. So I think this one may be an option if you guys are looking for something of this caliber. I think it's not a bad option, but they only max out 19% unfortunately, so that's that. Just want to throw that out there just in case anyone is interested into these types of one. But this one specifically is going to be for melee unfortunately, so MP attribute, so you're not going to get too much mileage on a dual type setting or like either or build, so only for melee. Shop build probably not so much, but you can definitely throw it on there and ignore the second portrait. But this one definitely would work really well for a melee build. So let's move over to the arm section now. Alright, before I do go over to some arm section, I do want to quickly, just a very quick kind of another side detour. So we have something of this caliber as well. So this one is going to be the Big Scale Kasi Gundam Torso. This one only maxed out 20%, but we do have some buff trait going on out here. So if we want to hit a little bit harder, for example, this is definitely something you can go for as well. So that's that. Okay, the very last one, we actually do have two of the same niche area over here. So this one is going to be specifically for your melee, because in terms of the condition for the buff trait here is only for high mobility. So in terms of the Kasi and then Misazabi here, so these are definitely two different niche compared to the Lupus and then the other standard one, the 23% that we look at so far. So I think now we can actually move over to the arms section now. Alright, so in terms of the arms section, we have these Big Scale Strike Freedom. So Honestly speaking, if you guys were able to pull the straight through the arm, I think this is definitely the best part to kind of go ahead and upgrade, just because in terms of the arm section, we really don't have that many options. I think the only option that we really have is, let's say, the SD Knight Unicorn, which is not even a 7-star yet, but that one works very effectively as well. So I think I would definitely upgrade some area that is not really that populated yet, just because in terms of all the other slots, they're pretty much over like inflated at this point in time. So I'll definitely upgrade something that is not really represented in a way. So this one honestly good. I'll definitely put this one as a sub slot only, just because of the fact that this one is an arm plus an integrated shield. So even if you do put this, like, you know, you will be sacrificing a shield slot if you do put this part specifically on the main slot, so I would highly not advise that. But this one's simply going to be doing the same thing, and this one that's actually packed itself with that ridiculously overpowered punch rate, the new version. So this one is actually quite good. It's just a new language. I think from what people are testing, this one's just bonkers. So definitely, if you guys do have this one, definitely not a bad option. Pretty good overall. So that's gonna be pretty much it in terms of the arm section. So let's move over to the leg now. Alright, the first one to be looking at is actually going to be the tech attribute Destiny Gundam, or the big scale version of it. So this one is going to be the same situation as what we look at from the X1 full club torso. So this one is going to be a double up 20%. So if you guys do want something of this niche, this one is actually really good, but this one is only going to be for your T attribute, and then you do have to be running high power. So honestly, up the list that we're looking at for tech attribute build, this one is probably one of the best one looking at so far, just because this one does have a dual 20%, so I can't complain about that. So alright, so up next we do have the big scale Banshee here. So this one probably not going to be at the top of the list in a way, just because in terms of the secondary part rate, it does have a timer limit. So I don't know, like in terms of the timer limit, how, like, my question to you guys, like, how long do you guys even play for, let's say, those limited time multi-mission bosses, or let's say just in general content? Like, do you guys even exceed 90 seconds for, say? If you don't, like, this is going to be like a very personal one. If you guys do exceed 90 seconds, immediately after that 91 seconds, you're not getting that EXQ power boosting. So I think this is not bad. Maybe if you guys are able to finish within 90 seconds, that's good. But if not, this is probably something you might want to skip. There's definitely some other better option out there that is not really ties into a time getaway, but this one is a, you know, EXQ power boosting. So once again, this one is going to be able to use in both build, no problem. All right, so up next we do have the Royale Gundam leg here. So this one probably not going to be in a lot of people's eyes not that good, just because this one does have a HP restriction. So when 60% or more, like, in my honest opinion, like, falling below that 60% is actually a rare occasion in my case. So this probably may not be that good, and this one specifically is only for shooting. So have you not just looked at something that is a little bit universal? So yeah, this one is definitely not gonna be that good of a recommendation then. All right, so up next we do have the Unicorn 03 Phoenix Type RC. So this one is not a bad option as well. So this one actually does provide a squad EXQ power boosting. So if you want your overall squad to hit, say, a little bit harder, I think this is definitely not a bad option to be investing into. So this is actually quite good. Work wise, I would definitely say it's a pretty universal going on as well. Close combat definitely does seemingly like a melee type build, and then but you do have high firepower, so you can definitely branch it out to a shooting build, no problem. The stat definitely speaks itself, not being a shooting base oriented, but you can definitely mix it up. We do subslot this one. You can definitely subslot this one to any strong melee or shooting tags legs, and then you guys should be pretty much good to go. This one does it does have some pretty high shot defense, so that is not a bad way to look at this one. So overall, this one could be a very good supporting type role and providing that EXQ cooldown by 23%. So some other niche option to be covering about is going to be some of your squad cooldown as well. So this one, honestly speaking, is going to be another very good one to be looking at, just because this one does pack itself with that new iteration of a meta trait. So this one honestly is pretty good. So this one is going to be for your P attributes specifically. You can just use this onto any build, no problem, because if I recall from the S attribute, this version of it does have pro tag, so you can definitely go pro tag onto this one if you do have this one a 7-star. And then if you do own the S attribute version of this one, then you guys should be pretty much set to go. Great, like this great overall setup here. So in terms of your overall squad cooldown, you should have no problem. So yeah, this one definitely something to recommend as well. All right, last but not least, we do have the Wing Gundam Zero. This one is going to be the Peacecraft version, different from the one that we just looked at, but this one does have some similar properties. So in my opinion, I'll definitely recommend the other one better. This is because the other one does have, let's say, what does the other one have? This one does have what is it? This portrait. This is just infinitely better. So since this one is just a general, right? Yeah, this one is a general one, so not gonna be that good as a over here. So this one is not bad, but just the other one is just a little bit better. So I think up next we can move over to the back part section. All right, so in terms of your back section, we really don't have that much. So we have this one and then just another one, that's it. So first things first, we are going to be taking a look at the Lightning Zeta Gundam back here. So this one does have that universal EXQ power boosting, but unfortunately this one does lock you down to Ace exclusive only. So in terms of an actual melee build, this one cannot really benefit all that much. But honestly speaking, this one does work fine as well. If you guys don't mind sacrificing that, that top portion, because honestly, you just need to look at that one. This one is going to be for attack attribute only, and then you are getting that EXQ cooldown reduced by 23%. In terms of the actual word type wise, I'll definitely say it's not really built for melee for sure. Even if you do force it out, it's not going to give you that good of a stat overall, but I think that's fine if you guys simply just want that EXQ cooldown. But let's take a look at the other option to see if that one is better or this one is just equally the same. Alright, the next one we are looking at is going to be the Gundam Barbaric here. So this one is actually a little bit of a better condition. So first things first, it is going to be attack attribute again. So we really don't see a lot of good, let's say, have we not seen that many P attribute? I think so, right? I think mainly we see something from S attribute and then things from T attribute. I think P attribute specifically does have a lot in the standard department, so I guess they didn't want to push too much onto the P attribute section. But yeah, this one honestly just a little bit better compared to like Lightning Zeta, just because this one is not really locked to like a specific, let's say, word tag. So this one honestly works really good dual type build once again. So yeah, if you guys do have this one, I'll definitely go for this one instead of the Lightning Zeta. So word tag wise, this actually work for like a opposite build, like the shot build, no problem, just because it does have that high firepower. So not bad overall. So up next, let's go over to some melee weapons. Alright, first on the list, we do have the Beam Saber. That is going to be your Kasai right there. So this one is going to be a dual bladed. So in terms of dual blade, I don't think there's that many good subslotting opportunity if I recall. So probably may or may not be a good option for you guys. And this one honestly not really. Although it does pack that EXQ power boosting, so it can technically works as like a dual type setting. But I mean, like either or, you can do dual type or you can go one or the other. This one probably may not be the best case scenario, just because this one does lock you down to 100% of the time using commander text. So I think we do have definitely some better options out there. So probably not going to be the best one to recommend if you guys do have some of the other ones. So alright, so up next we are looking at the Beam Saber. So this one, another Beam Saber. Yeah, so this one is going to be from the Phoenix Type RC. So this one right here is literally the same thing as we just looked at from the Infinite Justice head. So this one honestly is going to be another very top option. Let's say we have this one. This one is very good just because it does offer that initial EXQ charge boosted by 25%. So you don't have to worry about another part trying to get that EXQ or that initial charge boosting. So overall, this one is just a very versatile one to be looking at. This one is a saber category, so in terms of any subslot wise, you can definitely have a lot of flexibility, so not bad overall. Good word text selection as well, you can do either or for your melee build or your shot build, no problem. So overall, I think this is probably the best one anyway for your tech attribute build. So overall, pretty good. Right, the last one to look at is going to be the Hyper Beam Saber. So this one is going to be your big scale enhanced double Zeta Gundam version Ka, and this one is going to be another one of those that you can use in two different situations for your melee build and then for your shot build, because this one does have a EXQ power boosting by 40%, and you know this one does have some pretty simple condition, just one buff this. So if you activate any EXQ that has any buff attached on, you can definitely get this one outright going, no problem. First portrait is going to be limited to tech attribute once again. So we do have a lot of tech attribute support like towards the down the list. So that is definitely quite a just like a surprise. Like I don't know why they just kind of spread everything out like that. Like Like I just kind of wish they would kind of pack everything down to like a specific, like maybe to some other typing as well. But this one could be another good one to be looking at. If you so this one is gonna be either or. It's either you go for this one or let's say the RC. What is it? The Unicorn Phoenix RC. I think they both work really good, especially for these two. But in terms of let's say the Kasi, like that dual saber one, probably not the best. So the last one to look at is gonna be some ranged weapon, and then that's gonna be pretty much it. The first on the list is going to be the GN Rifle Bits 2. So this one is going to be from your Gundam Sabanya. So this one is going to be really the same thing we just looked at for, let's say, the Infant Justice head, and then the Unicorn Phoenix Type RC. So this one is going to be offering that. First of all, the EX skill cooldown reduced by 23%, and they're going to be offering that energy charge boosted by 25% once again. So this one, in a sense, it is going to be a little bit more niche, just because this one does want you specifically to use a type of job license. I believe the one that we look at for Infinite Justice, and even let's say for the Unicorn type RC, I don't think that one has like a specific, like a really niche category you have to be using it on. So this one may or may not be your best case scenario if you want to use this on, let's say, a melee build. I don't think you'll run like a long shooter job license for your melee build. So this one probably is not a best option. And this one specifically is going to be for P attribute, unfortunately. So yeah, so let's move on to the last one then. Alright, the last one to look at is going to be the Hagashiki Kai Beam Rifle. So this one, once again, this one is going to be for your P attribute again. But in terms of the condition for this one, I think it's a little bit slightly manageable. So this one does have that EX skill power boosting, so that's good. But in terms of condition, this one is only for beam. So when you're doing any beam attacking, so let's say you're normal, like you're shooting, has to be using like a beam rifle or just anything that comes out, let's say beam. And then in terms of your melee weapon, just using anything, beam saber, any of that. In terms of your actual EX skill, make sure they are labeled as beam category or beam melee, beam shot, and then you guys should be good. But yeah, this one is not bad overall, so I'll definitely do take this one over maybe the GN Rifle Bits 2, just because this one, easier condition to kind of fulfill. And once again, this one is going to be for P attributes. So what's up with them being specific to only P and for this one, and then some area for T and then some for S? So I don't know what's going on, but these are definitely, all these are definitely really good because they do go up to 23%, and you don't have to fully max it out to level or portrait level 10, because if you start at portrait level 8, I think you can definitely get a lot of miles to your other part as well. But with that being said, that's going to be pretty much it. That is going to be all the EX skill cooldown reduction type parts. So up next, probably going to be just going to be covering some of those good parts for you to be looking at, and then those are going to be some part that I hopefully you guys do have, and then just gonna bake them for as long as the campaign is up for. So I believe it should be up for roughly about 35 days if not mistaken, so that should be plenty of good time to just gonna upgrade parts. So that being said, that's gonna be pretty much it for me, and then I'll catch you guys on the next one.